Sairam all. Can we quickly settle down, please? Sairam, attention, please. Anna, Anna. Offering our prayers to the Almighty. A warm welcome to the technical session 4 of the day 2 of the International Conference on Values Education. Love is the eternal, universal principle that sustains life, strengthens relationships, and keeps society together. Yet, love finds its true expression only when it is accompanied by values such as compassion, responsibility, and respect. An educator's greatest lesson is not taught through words alone, but through the strength of the character and the values they live every day. This session will present practical ways to implement values education in both formal and informal settings while highlighting the educator's role as a living example of these timeless values. Our first speaker is Ms. Nandini Menon. Ms. Nandini Menon is the program lead for values education and teacher development at the International Institute for Human Values Education. A postgraduate teacher and educational content developer with over 13 years of experience, she has been a core member of the team that developed the Value Educate the World curriculum framework and the Be Good, See Good, Do Good series of values education books. With extensive experience in values education and curriculum design, she currently leads the development of values education programs for schools, universities, and teacher development. She will now present on the topic, Steps in Implementing the Value Educate the World program, Formal and Informal Education. Ms. Nandini Menon, please.
Offering my prayers to Lord Almighty. Good morning to all of you. It's a pleasure to have everyone here from different countries around the world. And we thought it would be a great occasion and a platform to discuss about the Value Educate the World program, and especially how to implement it in our countries. So I'm just giving you a brief background of why this session is there. So out here, we have countries who are in different stages of implementation. Some of you have already begun, and you've done so much already, and I think all of us were witness to very inspiring presentations in the previous sessions. So I'm sure that must have already got you enthused, and post that, I thought I'll talk to you a little more about the specific steps in implementing this program in your countries. So we've got different countries here, so some of them have already started, some of them are in the process of starting, right? And some of them are still considering what's next, how do we begin? So we thought this would be a great session to get everyone on board, on the same page as to how we can begin in our countries and what are some of the things that we can do to make it easier. So the experiences of all the countries who have already begun has gone into creating this particular, presentation. So, sorry. Yes. So just to give you an overview, so we've identified 10 main stages. There are many sub-stages within this, but for starters, we will talk about these today. So the first one is to research about government policies and priorities. Depending upon that, gauge the best approach for your country. Form the team to translate and adapt the books, review the curriculum and books that are to be translated or adapted, create the value matrix curriculum, translate, adapt the books, review translated books. Then we have our educator sensitization program, then roll out the program, and then finally assess and make corrections. So some of these stages you would have already seen in the presentations in the previous session. We'll look at them a little more in detail. Sorry. Yeah. So every country is different. Every country's approach to education is different. So which is why before you even begin thinking about starting your books, the first thing is to research and see what are your government's policies on education. Are there any policies on values education in particular? So, because for a lot of countries, the word values education itself cannot be used. There are a lot of countries where the word values are not, welcome. Even in India, even in our education policy, it was only in 2020, our national education policy, that the word, human values and, the 5 human values came into the picture formally, right? So please, you would need to research. So you can go on to government websites. You can speak to, government officials unofficially, right? You can, if you know someone in that space, you can also go and talk to them and find out what's the government's policy regarding education and values education in particular. So also you need to understand what are your national priorities. In your country, what is the focus, main focus? Even in education, what are they focusing on? So that's another thing that you need to research upon very well. Also research existing government policies. So once you do your research, this will help you understand what kind of approach you can take in your country. So can it be a formal approach? Because if the government is open, for example, maybe in Nepal, there is a keen interest in changing the values, the education policy for several different aspects, including values education. So, so that is a space that can be used if required. So, moving on. Once you have identified what's your government's policy, right, and what's their attitude, what are the requirements, what's their interests, then you can decide, is it possible to formally implement it into the curriculum, into the school system, right? So for example, brother from Croatia was mentioning how they've already been able to take several steps in that direction already, because they are already in communication with the government. So that's a great way to do it. If it goes to the government, that's the best, because then it's implemented standard, in standard format across, right? But no problem, that may not happen immediately. It's very difficult. So for example, in India also we have different governments. We have the central government, and then we have different state governments. So everyone has their own policies. So like that, in your countries also, it may not be possible to go at it immediately, formally, but don't lose heart. Please begin. How? You can begin it informally. So informally means out of school, after school classes. You can reach out to private, schools, speak to principals, speak to teachers, individual teachers that are interested, and then get them to start a class. Either, if they have an extra time, even 10-15 minutes extra if they have in their class that they can give to this, then can they talk about values for 15 minutes for starters? Or can they have an after school hours program? A lot of schools have different programs that happen after the school hours. For example, sports, music, etc. So along with that, is it possible to then get values education as, maybe once in a week session after school hours, right? Apart from that, you can also look at having home classes. For example, in a lot of countries, we have the concept of Sunday school. So is there some kind of, such kind of school, class that you can begin at your level? So that's there. Online classes are an option. So for example, quite a few countries in the Middle East, we've been talking, many of them have started even online because a lot of people from the Middle East, so they have a common language, but they live in different countries, they live in different places, so they all come together online and they have these classes happening online too. And then after school hours classes and home classes is happening in Australia too. Online classes also have been happening in Australia. So, they have been going pretty well. So even, for example, I'm just giving my example that my family, we have to move around a lot because of my husband's nature of work. So it's not possible for me to stay in one place and do anything impactful. If you have to do something impactful, you have to be there in a particular place for a longer period of time. Unfortunately for me, it's a drawback, and I feel sometimes very disheartened about it, you know. So, but one way, or rather two ways, I thought I would finally do it is, in spite of these drawbacks, I thought that, okay, I will start classes wherever I am for however much time I'm there. So I take classes on Sundays for students. And whoever's there, so then once I leave and go, then I begin it in the new place again. And apart from that, I also take online classes for values. So that way, that continues wherever I am. So there are different options. Your will is the key. So please, formal or informal, begin somewhere. Right. Okay, so once you have done your homework, now's the time to set up a team. So your ideal team is if you have educators on board, interested educators on board, and also ideally a psychologist. Because what happens is, you already have books. So for example, some countries have already created their books. You will be adapting their books for your country. But your country is going to be absolutely different, right? So let's say we have maybe a book from Australia, and then you're taking it into Europe. But the scenario in Europe is totally different. So which is why it's good to have educators on board because they know what's happening on the ground, and also ideally a psychologist also to tell you that you are, approaching values, or you're teaching them in the correct way at each level. What are the kind of activities? What is the approach to teaching? So it's good to have a psychologist on board too. And along with that, so because we have books from pre-primary right up to grade 12, it would be good to have educators from all these levels. So from primary, middle school, and high school. In India, we also have, pre-primary it is called. So that's KG. So you can decide. So is it 3 levels? Is it 4 levels? You can decide. It's good to have at least 2 or 3 teachers from each level supporting you. It doesn't make sense if you have a high school educator translating your books for primary school. They won't know how to write for students who are really small, right? They can't write simple stories, for example. Their approach will be different. So that's why, please, you can look at having educators from these different levels. As I mentioned, an educational or child psychologist is recommended. And okay, so first very important thing is you may not get people who already know about this program or already know about what we are doing as part of One World, One Family mission. So the first step then would be to orient them to what this program is all about before you get them to translating or adapting books. So which means you will need to orient them to the whole curriculum. So I will talk about that, about the framework, about the idea of the program, what is its mission, vision, etc., and then move on to adapting, translating, adapting the books. Okay, so this is very important. I'm not sure how many of you are aware. You've seen the books, right? You know that the books were launched, but the books are actually based upon a curriculum framework that was created. So first thing that your team would need to do is review the curriculum matrix itself. We call it the value matrix. The curriculum framework itself, you would need to get them to review and see whether it is going, whether the requirements are as per your country's needs. So I'll just give you a brief explanation of how the curriculum is. We've got 10 main values, 10 core values. Sister Bhumana would have mentioned that yesterday. So those 10 core values have been expanded across, from pre-primary right up to grade 12. So we have identified different sub-values that come under each of these main values. For example, if the main value is truth, then you have many small sub-values. For example, you have honesty, you have integrity, you have authenticity. So these sub-values have been mapped across the years, again with the help of psychologists, right? So, but for a particular country, it works. When you are trying to adapt it to your country, it may not be the same for your country. Based on the children who are there in your country, their psychological development, their psychological needs, it may change. So something that's applicable in India may not be applicable in the US. So which is why the first step is to review the curriculum framework, the values matrix. After that, they can look at the students' workbook that's already been created. So typically what happens is, this is for the educators who are absolutely new to this program here. We already have books that have been translated and launched in 17 countries. So when a new country begins their work, one of these books are taken for reference. So for example, if it's in Europe, so then they take one of, like, for example, for Kazakhstan, they've taken the Russian books, or for Latvia, for example, right? So, and then for maybe other countries, you can take US books, or the ones in English. You have the Australian books, you have the US books, you have the New Zealand books. So once you decide which is the country whose books you want to adapt, then you get them to review it first. So is the content okay? Is it as per your children's needs? So you review that, and then you gauge the relevance of those books, existing books, to your country's approach to values, to the students' psychological development and their needs. And yes, very important, we wanted to mention here that while this is, we are talking about core human values which are common across cultures, right? It's common to humanity. We also want each country to showcase their local customs, traditions, values, etc. Because it's about celebrating what's local while also integrating what's universal. So both go hand in hand. One should not suffer at the hands of the other, so to say. So which is why both need to happen. You want citizens who are grounded in their culture but have a global outlook. That's the purpose of our program. Yes, so once the matrix is reviewed, the books are reviewed, then your team of educators will go to create the values matrix for your country. So what would it be based on? It would be based on the educational policies of your country, the psychosocial development and needs of your students, on the local culture and traditions, and of course the 10 main values need to be adapted. So I'll just give you an example. We have the 10 values, and when it was made for India first, one of our main values is patriotism. But the word patriotism may not be acceptable in all countries, right? So you need to figure out what happens is all 10 values, we want them there because they are universal. How can you maybe adapt it to your country? Yes, sister. Beautiful. Yes. So for a lot of countries, especially in the Western world, the word patriotism is considered negative. So love for country is a common term. Civic responsibility, citizen responsibility is another term that's been used. So it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we want the values to go out. Please make it adapted as per your country's policies or culture, so that's acceptable to them. Doesn't matter, you don't have to stick to this. So, but all the 10 main values need to be there. That's core to our Value Educate the World program. Okay, so the sub-values can be changed. Now, like I mentioned to you, we have sub-values across grades for each of these main values. Those can change. For example, if greetings, parents or teachers saying hello, thank you. Let's say in India, if it's coming in maybe grade 2 or 3, in a Western country, that's too simple, right? So you can put it up down there, bring it like much lower. So there are certain concepts that can move up and down, or you can even remove them if they are not relevant to your country. Another example in India, because we have so many cultures, we have so many languages, religions, for us, unity in terms of gender parity, gender equality, etc., caste equalities also, so to say, is a relevant issue. So we try to address it in our curriculum, but it may not be relevant to your country. So remove it and change it and put what's relevant to your country. Okay, so to translate and adapt your content. So like I mentioned, you've already got a team of educators on board, and if they are able to also create the content, then that's wonderful. So still you will need to have 3 teams or 4 teams depending on the levels you have, and you can start getting them to translate and adapt your books. Okay, so you can use original content. If you're using others' content, you have to acknowledge it. I think you know that. I'm just going into some of the issues or some of the things we ran into when we were working with different countries. So that's why I wanted to mention some of these points. Appropriate illustrations you can create. I think AI right now provides us the opportunity to create good and great illustrations. So you can use AI too. But I would also suggest at this point in time that you need to keep in mind, for example, the resolution. While you create these images, they should be print quality images that you create. So just some of the technical details, because some of our countries during the launch time, they had certain issues with images. So I'm just bringing this out here. Okay, and editing and designing of the book. So this is also a very important aspect. This program is going for your country, which means at some point in time you want to make it, you want to apply it across your country, you want to show it to your government at some point in time, right? So at this stage, if you focus on doing quality work, then it will help you out. Like I said, I'm just giving you some tips based on what we have done so far, even in India and in some other countries. Editing is a very important aspect of your books, obviously, and then design is a very big thing too that you would need to concentrate on, designing quality books. So that's another area you would need to keep in mind. Okay, so once your books are ready, we don't stop there. You have to get your books reviewed. So once your books are ready, then you give them out to teachers. So you have teachers, in different schools, you can hand it out to them, ask them to start using it and also review at the same time. So as they use those lessons, maybe they will get to know what's working, what's not, or they could also review you once you give them to expert educators. Yes, that's the other thing we want, because we want our work to be quality, of very high quality, and it should be acceptable to the education community anywhere. So which means once you've created it, kindly get it reviewed by the experts in your country, educationists, educators, right? Experts from the education field, you can please get them reviewed. So, and then you can collate your details and keep them. So in case at some point in time you need to approach the formal system of education, you have something backing you, that yes, we've got it reviewed by these people, and based on those reviews we have made the appropriate changes, and our books are ready now for a pilot or for implementation at a larger level. Yes, so what you're reviewing them for appropriateness and alignment to your educational policies, to your system, to the pedagogical frameworks you use, for example. Okay. Then we come to the sensitization of educators. So educators are let's say they are going to be the backbone of this program. So it's very important that we have them on board first. We have them invested in our program. So the first thing you would need to do is build awareness about the 10 main values, about the universal values that we have. First, they need to have an understanding themselves, right? And how it can be applied in the classroom. And then, so we already have inner development of educators module. So the educators inner journey modules are available. We'll be kind of sharing them out soon. So you can use these modules to train your teachers. So I'm not going to go too much into teacher training or development because we'll be having a session after this focusing on that. And yes, as you, once they start teaching, you need to support your teachers. And you must have already heard from the brother from Croatia about how they've been supporting their teachers, conducting meetings every 2 weeks. It was tough. I saw the challenges. It is really tough. But it is key to keep them connected. So you need to find the right time, maybe if not once in 2 weeks, if it's too much, at least once in a month, right? We need to support them. We need to let them know because they're also facing a lot of issues. I'm sure in all our countries, our educators have a lot to do, right? So we need to be there to, give them that push, to give them that energy to get moving and to get going, right? So I also wanted to share with you, I'll share it at the end of my presentation. Okay, so once the teacher teacher sensitization has happened, then you can start rolling out your program. They can start teaching these, values lessons in their schools. And at that point in time, based on where you are placed, whether formally or informally, I already spoke about it before, you can decide how to implement it. And yes, like I said, it'll take time to reach out to the government, but don't stop. Reach out to private schools, reach out to interested teachers, get them started, and conduct classes in school, after school, before school, at home on weekends, online. It's yours, right? You have options. Engage, yes. So this is important. At some point in time, we definitely need to bring in parents, school leaders, and stakeholders. So quickly, I wanted to let you know that our program, Value Educate the World program, I think Sister Bhuvna already mentioned it yesterday, it's based on a triple partnership. The tripod of the teachers, students, and parents. So unless we have the adults in the student's life on board, nothing's going to happen. Whatever we are going to teach them is going to remain in their books, not even in their heads. It's definitely not going to trickle into their hearts. So we need the adults on board out here. So which is why at some point in time, you need to think of creative ways you can engage parents, school leaders, and other stakeholders. So in case you have any good ideas, kindly share them with us. We can talk about it to others, right? So your ideas that you try out and you implement and they work, you saw in the presentations earlier, if they work, we can let others know and support them, support the other countries too. Okay, so assess and adapt. So this is another very important thing. Nothing is written in stone. The curriculum is not written in stone. It is only a beginning. So please be ready for a lot of changes that may happen. You may do the groundwork and you may think your work is over because it's already a lot of work to adapt the books and write them. But that's just the beginning. So be ready. Every year, every 2 years, you have to constantly assess, which lessons are impactful, which activities are impactful. For example, brother already gave the feedback that came from one of the top educators there. Right? I think grades 3 to 8, there's not much variation or differentiation in the level of activities. So definitely, so that is an area that we need to focus on. So accordingly, the changes need to be made. So this program's impact you need to assess. So as you begin, it will be really good if you can plan out an impact assessment program also side by side. So as you implement it, you can probably do a base level kind of an assessment, how things are, and then you can do an assessment over 6 months, over a year, and you can please record and collate your research that you've done, like whatever study you've done, keep it ready. It will be helpful for you later on. Okay, so these are the 10 steps. And in case, because there's a lot of other nitty-gritties that come into each of these steps, I didn't want to take them here. First of all, they won't enter our heads now. But once you start actually, adapting the books and you start doing it, there will be definitely a lot of questions, a lot of doubts. Please reach out to us. We will work together. So there are definitely certain aspects that need to be looked into. In case you're starting on your values program in your country, kindly reach out to us. We will share with you. So these have been created to ensure that you don't have to redo things again. You don't waste energy doing something and then that doesn't work and then you have to go back and do something else. So kindly reach out to us and let us make this program successful. Let's reach out to every heart that's willing to receive. In our places, let's try to make a difference in the world. I wanted to end by sharing a few things that Sadhguru had shared yesterday. He had met with a small group of educators and he gave some very important points. So I just thought I'll end by sharing them out here. So one thing Sadhguru has told, and it's for all of us, is that we are in this for the long run. The work or the thing that we want to achieve is not possible immediately. You won't see results immediately. So please don't lose heart. It may take 50 years, it may take even 100 years. But if you believe that every step you take is going to make a difference, then we are going to get there sooner than later. So please don't get bogged down with expectations that, I will start something and, people are just going to transform and, in the next 1 year, we'll have all of them there just from the heart, and the students also are going to be like sitting in the class and listening to everything. They won't speak, they won't do anything. It's not going to happen. In the next 10 years, maybe it may not happen. Swami said, this is for another 100 years. Be ready. So have that patience, have that positivity that yes, what you're doing is making a difference. Okay, so that's one thing Sadhguru said. Then, try your best. Do whatever you can. Whatever it takes. Take one child, that's enough. So Sadhguru said, so that's the other thing. He said, see, we are not focusing on quantity. We are not saying we will get 10,000 children and we will, make a difference to 10,000 lives. You may reach out. But if you can make a difference to at least 1 or 2 of those children, that's good enough. This is reminding me of what was so touching yesterday, and I wanted to share that Sadhguru's teachers have come. So out of all the students that they have had in their lives over their 30-year careers, one Sadhguru has come. But that's a very big achievement. Those teachers must be so proud, right? So can we get even that one student, one child, if you're able to make a difference in their lives, if they're able to reach a better place than where they are now, I think that's achievement enough. So we'll focus on quality. We'll try to reach out to as many as we can, but not get disheartened. Let's focus on at least 10, 12. If you don't have time, like I said, if you can't do it at school, do it at home. If you can't do it at home, in person, do it online. Start somewhere. Okay, and then another important thing, Sadhguru also said that now this depends on which country you come from. In a lot of countries, we want to start our values education program, but like in India, in many places, children don't have food to eat. Their basic necessities are not met. So what values are we going to talk to them about? That's not going to enter their heads if there's no food in their stomachs. So in such cases, the first thing would be to fulfill their basic needs in whatever way we can. And sister, please tell me if I'm running on time. 2-3 minutes? Okay, yeah, I'm almost done. So I would like to then share a small, very inspiring example that I got to know. Our Annapurna breakfast morning nutrition program, so when it started out in Bangalore in a very small village. So a few volunteers would go before their office times. They would cook breakfast, carry it, take it there, and feed children in the village, and then go off to school, go off for their work. So they were talking about. So they started with fulfilling this basic need of food. What they also did in the process is they started, because the children were coming to school, they were all coming together. They told them, okay, after you eat your food, come sit for some time, we'll tell you some nice things, right? And then they started talking about simple things, basic hygiene, because a lot of students wouldn't have bath and come in the morning, or they wouldn't take care of themselves. So basic, hygiene things. Then about being good, because some of them would not speak properly, they would not use good language, or they would come late. So they started bringing all these things, and then they made it a small, class. So what happened is, so the parents were initially hostile. They didn't know who's coming, what is the reasons, do they have something in mind, our team, right? Generally, people want something from you when they give you something, right? So they were also assessing the team. But the school was there, and so they started taking these classes, and then what happened is these children, they started coming on time, they started bathing, they started dressing up smartly, they started speaking well, and then parents started coming out, because parents came after a month or two. Parents came to the volunteers and said, what are you doing? Our children are very different now. They are telling us that, we should not fight at home, we should not use bad language, we should not. So a lot of wife beating and all happens, alcoholism and wife beating. So our children are telling us that, we should not do these things, so we wanted to come and see you, what's going on. And the parents said, can we help you in any way? So the parents started coming on board, helping in serving the students, and it became a very beautiful community approach. So, and that village was transformed from what it was earlier. So this is a very, I think, a very beautiful example. You start with providing a basic necessity, you get children on board, and values will happen on the side. And once you've brought them to that level where their needs are met, then they will be willing to listen to you already. So then your work also becomes simple. So yes, so this was the other thing that Sadhguru had mentioned. And yes, so we need to get the teachers on board. So which is why the next sessions that are happening are on the inner development of teachers. This program, it can't go ahead without us getting teachers on board. So that's going to be our focus on developing a good, let's say, resource of teachers who are inspired, willing to work on themselves, willing to work for children. And yes, I'll end with this last thing. Swami said that only love is going to work. So if you try to go out and say, I want to implement in these many schools, but there's no love in it, then it's going to be of no use. So the love definitely needs to be there. And you need to love the difficult ones especially. The easy students are easy to love because they're nice and sweet and cute and they listen to you. You have to love the difficult ones because that will make a change in their future. That's values in action. Right. Thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to interacting with all of you, working together on this program. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Our next speaker is Mr. Vijay IBS, a life coach, corporate trainer, and healer with extensive experience in corporate human resources, higher education, training, and personal development. A visiting lecturer at Sri Sathya Sai University for Human Excellence, he teaches self-development and is widely recognized for his work in subconscious sciences, neuro-linguistic programming, transactional analysis, psychotherapy, and emotional healing. As a transformational trainer and director of a corporate learning and development organization, he has empowered individuals and organizations through programs in leadership, behavioral skills, and personal transformation. He is currently pursuing a PhD at Sri Sathya Sai University for Human Excellence, researching emotional healing techniques for psychosomatic conditions. He will now speak on the topic, The Educator as a Role Model, Why Love is the Core Ingredient in Values Education. Mr. Vijay Sai, sir, please.
Offering my loving prayers to the Almighty, fellow torchbearers of the Value Education Program. Sister Nandini already led me to the topic, why love is the core ingredient in value education. But before that, we got to see the educator as a role model. For us to understand educator as a role model, let us first understand any game. Is there a hand mic? I can't stand in one place and speak. Okay. What is the common sequence in any game? When you have a game, what happens at the end of the game? Win? Lose? What's it called? What's it called? Outcome or results. What causes the results outcome? You recently watched a football match. There are many Indians here. We connect to cricket. So let's look at it. Whether it's Ronaldo hitting a goal or Virat Kohli hitting a six. What happens for the outcome? Think of it. He's about to kick the ball or is about to hit a six. What happens one splits? What actually causes the outcome? Action? Focus? No, okay. Action causes the outcome. Now comes a little deeper. What causes action? Practice? What causes action? What? Concentration. If I'm concentrating, I'll be clean bowled. Willpower. So willpower can cause action. What happens 1 second before action? Thinking. So I'm thinking, will it come? I'll be clean bowled. If I focus, it's much deeper than that. How does reflex? Who said that? Fantastic. What is reflex? What is conditioning of the mind? Basically, it goes to reflexes, which deeper than that is what? How does a person develop reflex? Practice. Does practice make a man perfect? No. Practice only makes whatever practice permanent. Perfect practice makes it perfect. And when a person practices continuously, perfectly, what causes it? Practiced muscle memory. What causes practiced muscle memory? Deeper. This is muscle memory is what you do. Deeper, what happens? What happens at the level of the brain? Wiring, nerve cells that fire together, wire together, forming a path of least resistance or most allowance. And so, it's the neural pathways that create practiced muscle memory, that create reflexes, that create the action. So what creates the neural pathways? I want you all to think. What creates the neural pathways? You'll be surprised to know. Who is the person you talk to most of the time in life? Spouse? No, no. Who's the person you talk to most of the time in life? Habitual self-talk. The way you talk to yourself regularly wires and fires your brain. And the way you do it creates practiced muscle memory, reflexes, actions. So what causes habitual self-talk? Your regular thoughts and emotions. But the whole thing is somewhere deeper. The fish is born in water. It lives in water. It is surrounded by water, it dies in water, it reproduces in water. What is the one thing that the fish does not understand? I want to think about it. The fish is born in water, lives in water, dies in water, surrounded by water, reproduces in water. What's the one thing the fish does not understand? Water itself it does not understand, because it has become so much a part of its being. So many of us don't understand our own being. Because when you talk of being, what are you talking of? And this applies to any game in life. Yesterday you looked at the slide in a different way. I'm a hypnotherapist, a regression therapist, so I talk about the conscious and the subconscious. Only 10% is conscious, the left brain, the thinking, the analytical, the logical, the calculating, the discriminating. 90% is the subconscious. So the realm of outcome and action, action is only conscious. In the middle is self-talk. Deeper than that is thoughts, and deeper than that is being. The same model applies to any game, including teaching. Because whatever game you're playing, results don't begin with action, they begin with the being. Let's look at it. Your values, your beliefs, your identity, your life position, and the question is love the undercurrent, determines your habitual thought and emotions. Do you think every child can learn? Do you think I don't have time? Do you think they're challenging? Do you think they deserve the best? That leads to automatic responses. All of us react. What is the response? Are you patient? Your tone of voice? Many of us say, keep quiet, I really love you. Tone of voice. Emotional reactions. Split-second decisions. Knee-jerk reactions. Teaching habits would be your communication patterns, your classroom routines, your consistent responses, and the teaching behavior, the action. What's it? Whether you listen. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Many of us think it's the other way around. We have to listen 60 to 67 to 70% and only speak for 30%. And also, do you listen to reply? Do you listen to argue? Or do you listen to understand? That's also going to determine there. Do you correct? Do you encourage? Do you appreciate? Do you role model? What do you mean by role model? What do you mean by role model? So, I want you to exactly as I say, put a right hand on the top, everyone. Put a left hand on the top. Do like this, very good. Put the right hand behind your head, keep doing like this. Keep the left hand very close to the lower part of your face, very good. Keep watching me, do exactly as I say. Now quickly, touch your cheek, all of you. I thought you knew English. Why are you touching your chin? I said cheek, but you touched your chin. Because actions speak louder than words, or light travels faster than sound. You can think of whatever. So when you talk of role modeling, that's what it means. And finally, the outcomes for the student will be academic achievement, character, confidence, and the overall well-being. So rather than my talking, let us allow your being to talk, your subconscious to talk. Okay? Let's do educator reflection exercise. I have 20 questions, 4 options, no right, no wrong. It's not a psychological assessment. This thing is just a reflection exercise, no right or wrong answers. The goal is awareness and not judgment. And don't try to answer like an ideal teacher. First thing. Second thing, answer like you've had a difficult Monday morning, after the 3 parent complaints, when you haven't slept well, when 20 children are waiting for you, and that version of you is what we're trying to understand your being. So don't overthink, answer instinctively. What are you going to do? I'm going to give 20 questions. Imagine this. A student repeatedly talks while you're teaching. Which thought comes first? Which thought comes second? Open your books and start writing questions 1 to 20 and answer quickly, because there's going to be a scoring immediately after this. Just write question 1 to 20. Before I do this, just write 1 to 20. 1, 2, 3, 4 till 20. Leave space for marking. Leave space for marking. The slides can be shared with you. No, don't bother about taking the snaps now. Concentrate on answering the questions. Are you all ready? I've not started the question. I'm going to start. So I want you to read the question once, go through the 4 options without thinking too much of what is right, what is wrong, because don't worry, we're not going to see your answers. Your answers are going to be with you. It's a reflective exercise for us to understand our own being, which I told you we are unconscious of. The first question. A colleague, sorry. Yeah. A student repeatedly talks when you're teaching. Which thought comes first? Which thought comes second? You just need to write A, B, C, D. This child simply doesn't respect discipline. I wonder whether my teaching isn't engaging enough. I'd like to understand what's causing this before deciding how to respond. Nothing seems to work with students anymore. Answer. This is the first question. Take 2 shots at it. First thought, second thought. First thought, second thought. Did all of you complete the first question? Everyone? Okay, we go to the second question. A parent publicly criticizes your teaching. Which thought comes first? Which thought comes second? Parents always complain, there's no point taking it seriously. They're probably right, maybe I'm not good enough. I listen carefully, understand the concern, and explain my perspective. They don't understand how difficult teaching really is. Think of the 2 options. Just write, is it B or C, A or D, whatever. Yeah. 2. The first one is the second choice. Yeah. The first one is this. Okay. The second one is this. Did all of you choose 2 choices? Can I move forward? Because I need to move a little faster now. Next one. A colleague receives an award you secretly hope to receive. I wonder what they have that I don't. A. I'm genuinely happy for them and curious about what I can learn. Recognition doesn't really matter anyway. They were probably favored. Which of these? A. Two options. Can I go to the next one? Everyone? Number 4. There's some error that's come. A child forgets homework for the 4th time. Realistic situations for you? What are your 4 options? 2 you're going to choose. Maybe I haven't supported the child enough. This child needs stricter consequences. Some children never learn. I need to understand why this keeps happening. Can I move forward? Everyone? Okay. Number 5. A student openly disagrees with you during class. Children these days question everything. Maybe I explained it poorly. Let's discuss it respectfully. This is becoming disrespectful. I go to question 6. Next. Your lesson doesn't go as planned. A. The students simply weren't interested. B. No matter what I prepare, something goes wrong. C. I'll reflect and improve it next time. D. I'm not good at teaching this topic. Yes? Number 7. A child accidentally breaks classroom material. A. I should have prevented this. B. Let's solve the problem together. C. Of course, this would happen today. D. Children must learn to be more careful. Two options you choose. Question number 8. A colleague offers you unsolicited advice. Happens normally? They think they know everything. Nothing people suggest really helps. They're probably right. I'll consider whether there's something useful. Question 9. A quiet child never participates. Maybe I'm failing to create the right environment. Some children never change. I'll help the child feel safe. They simply don't want to participate. Choose 2 of them. The first option you think, the second option you think. You can't think of the 5th option. I've given all the possible options. Yes, because we don't normally have one thought. We may have a second thought. Think about it. It'll help you. If you get at least the first one, it'll be good. If you think a second one, you'll understand your position even more. Number 10. After a difficult school day, I replay my mistakes. I think about the people who made my day difficult. I feel emotionally drained. I think about what I learned. Ten more to go. A student performs much better than expected. I underestimated them. Let's see how long this lasts. Maybe a flash in the pan. I knew they had potential. I'm delighted to see the growth. Move on to the next one. Number 12. Two students are fighting. Conflict is unavoidable. I immediately identify who's responsible. I first want each child to feel heard. I wonder if I could have prevented it. Number 13. Number 12, you're not done? Okay. Number 13. Can I go? A student cries after receiving feedback. They are too sensitive. I feel guilty. Emotions complicate everything. I'll comfort them while maintaining expectations. Number 14. You make a mistake in front of the class. I justify why it happened. I stop caring. I admit it and move on. I feel embarrassed for a long time. Six more to go. Number 15. One student constantly challenges school rules. Some children are impossible. They need stronger discipline. I wonder if I'm handling this well. I want to understand the need behind the behavior. The first thought, the second thought. The next question, number 16. When I think about the children I teach, what do I think? Some children simply create problems. I wonder whether any of this matters. Every child deserves to feel seen. I hope I'm making enough difference. The first thought, the second thought. 17, a struggling student tops the class. What do you think? It's probably a one-time event. I celebrate the achievement. Let's see how long this lasts. I didn't expect this. Number 18. Your principal suggests an area for improvement. They don't understand my efforts. I appreciate the feedback. Nothing I do is enough. I feel I've let everyone down. Number 19, a new teacher joins your department. They'll have to prove themselves. I hope they aren't better than me. It doesn't really matter. I want to help them succeed. The last question. At the end of the school year, what do you hope your students remember most? I was a good teacher. They simply passed. I maintained discipline. They were respected and believed in. What are the two thoughts? The first and the second, you want your students to remember you. Not possible. I just started. It'll take another 15 minutes. Okay. Done? Okay. So remember, the interaction is influenced by two silent questions. Am I okay? Are you okay? Which is your life position. There are 4 life positions by Eric Berne. I'm okay, you're okay. I'm okay, you're not okay. I'm not okay, you're okay. I'm not okay, you're not okay. So let's understand, what is your score? Just write down plus plus, plus minus, minus plus, minus minus. And I will tell you the scores. Plus plus is, I'm okay, you're okay. Plus minus is, so what did you answer? Just write it down. Just look at the question. What did you answer? Just note it down. I'll give you 1 minute for this. I'll do one thing, guys. We are already short of time, is what Sister Bhuvana is telling. These answer keys I'll send you later for you to understand. Okay? So this is the first, the second 20, because the message will be lost in the assessment. I'd planned for a 45 to 50 minute session. Okay? Fine. So I'll send this to you. Let's understand the outcome of this. Take a photo? Yeah, take a photo now. The first page, take a photo. Because I want to go to the message. Okay. So understand, the question that matters is, when your student tests your patience, which life position shows up? They don't experience our intentions, they experience our default responses. So if you look at it, I'm okay, you're okay, is the foundation of value education. Unless and until each educator consciously comes here, you actually cannot walk the talk. Why? Let's look at it. When a teacher believes about what is I am okay, you're okay, teacher believes about every child. Inherent worth, love and respect, every child matters, emotional safety. They believe every child can learn and grow, unique strengths, can flourish, can change, and they understand it's more than marks, more than behavior. Every child has a story. I have stories for this, but I'm not going to go there. Fresh start every day, want to succeed, can succeed, deserves to be heard, needs encouragement. And teacher believes mistakes teach, curiosity matters, character counts, emotional safety. My role is to guide, not control, influence over authority. I preserve dignity, I protect connection, I relationships first, I lead by my example, And I keep growing, respond, not react. I apologize sincerely. I learn from every child. Words heal or hurt, shape self-belief, live my values. The teacher naturally exhibits. They welcome warmly. They know every name. They see every child. They create belonging. They listen first, speak kindly, gives every child a voice, encourages questions, sees trends, looks beyond behavior, gives second chances, celebrates progress, and they're approachable, calm under pressure, responds not reacts, makes mistakes safe, leads by example, keeps promises, lives the values. They appreciate effort, encourages often, notice progress, builds trust, gives hope, celebrates uniqueness, and children flourish. So understand the ripple effect of I am okay, you're okay. The life position leads to teachers' beliefs. The teachers' beliefs translate into the behavior. The behavior goes to children's experience. From there, love is felt. And then the values take root. This is very important. So if you look at it, what do children experience if a teacher is like this? Emotional safety, encouragement, belonging, joy in learning, respect, hope, trust, confidence, because children don't learn values first. They experience them first. And most important, what do you call this experience? Teachers, just tell me, what do you call this experience? A child feels safe. A child feels seen. A child feels heard. A child feels valued. A child feels encouraged. A child feels believed in. What do you call this experience? Love. Yes, and that is actually love. And that comes only from I am okay, you're okay. And understand, I am okay, you're okay is more than a life position. It's a way of seeing every child. When I truly believe I have worth, every child has worth, I naturally begin to see potential before problems, listen before judging, understand before reacting, encourage before criticizing, correct without hurting dignity, believe before giving up, build relationships before demanding results. That way of seeing people is called love, nothing more. And if you go further, love is the core ingredient of value education. It's not another value, not another lesson. Love is the environment in which all the other values naturally grow. Because, understand how to experience love? Not through speeches, not through moral lessons, not through posters, but through every interaction, every response, every relationship. And I'm going to end with this. What is your emotional bank balance with your students? All of us have a bank account. The bank account is an emotional bank account with every person. In a transaction, what happens? You only have deposits and withdrawals. If you have more deposits, less withdrawals, you have a wonderful relationships. If you have more withdrawals, less deposits, the relationship breaks. So, if you look at it, every interaction is asking one silent question: do I matter to you? The child is asking. Every interaction answers that question. So, what's the bank balance? Smile, greeting, correction, encouragement, promise, every word is a deposit or withdrawal. Understand what is deposits. The child should experience you matter. I see you. I hear you. This is love in action. I believe in you. You belong here. You're safe with me. Mistakes help us learn. And how we make deposits? We appreciate efforts. We listen first. We smile warmly. We correct privately. Keep promises. Encourage often. Give second chances. And what the child experiences when you do with emotional withdrawals, you don't matter. I'm invisible. No one listens. I'm not good enough. I don't belong. I should be afraid. Mistakes make me a failure. Public criticism, ignoring, comparison, sarcasm, labels, breaking trust, humiliation creates this. And going to the last two slides, remember, every smile is a deposit. Every correction is either deposit or withdrawal. Every conversation changes the relationship. Children may forget our words. They never forget how we made them feel. And every interaction builds trust or no. One more important. We need to understand connection before correction. What does it mean? When you are having a high deposit, when you correct them, it feels like care. It feels like discipline preserves dignity. Feedback inspires growth. Children remain open to learning. But if there is low emotional balance, when you try to correct them, it feels like rejection, punishment, criticism, and children become defensive or withdraw. Because children don't resist correction, they resist correction from someone whom they don't connect to. And finally, love is the core ingredient of values education. Students may forget our lessons, but they rarely forget how we made them feel. Remember, love is not just an emotion. Love is experienced through everyday interaction, through emotional deposits, connection before correction. Love is values in action. And that was a rushed up presentation of mine. I cut it down by almost 60%. I had to go slow with a lot of examples. But I will share this PPT with you all later, because even time management is very important because some of the speaker is coming. So this is why love is the core of ingredient in value education. As I leave the stage, I'll leave one particular slide with you to understand what would a child experience when you call love, when you talk of somebody they interact with I'm okay, you're okay. So this is what people will experience. So thank you very much for the opportunity. It's indeed inspiring to speak to torchbearers who are going to take this further. I wanted to open up the whole thing for questions, but there is no time now. If you do have questions, you write to us and they will reply. Huh? You have a question, one or two questions? Yeah? Till the other educators comes, I've got extension. Lovely. She's given me an emotional deposit. Thank you, Sister Bufana. Okay. Okay.
How can we deal with self-talk?
How can we deal with self-talk? So what happens is, our self-talk depends on, just keep the slides on. The self-talk depends on mostly parental and teacher voices. If you close your eyes and you talk to yourself about something, think, whose voice is it? Is it my mom's? Hurry up, hurry up. Or is it my teacher who said, you're never going to improve? There'll be some voice. How to improve self-talk is very easy. Start writing every day. Every day write down. First day write down 21 reasons why I'm an awesome, wonderful, fantastic, and a great person. 21 reasons why I'm an awesome, fantastic, great person. And when you write the 21 reasons today, you'll be shocked. You can't find more than 7 or 8, because most of us are not practicing self-love. Most of us are in self-denigration. And how can you appreciate others if you don't have, how can you give water out if you don't have water in the tank? Can you write down 21 reasons why you're an awesome, wonderful, fantastic person? Thereafter, every day add 9. And very soon, in about 21 days, you will reach 108. When you reach 108, yes, you should. Why should God alone have 108 qualities? When you say, Aham Brahma Sarvam Brahma, mean it. Otherwise, it's a lie you're telling yourself. You should find yourself. You know why? There was, in Thailand, there was a clay Buddha in Bangkok. 12.5 feet, 2.5 tons. And it was in a monastery, and the government had to build a road through it. And when the government had to build a road through it, they wanted to remove it and move it to another place. They got hold of a huge truck. They picked up the clay Buddha, and they began transporting it. By evening, it began to rain. They tried to cover it with a tarpaulin. It became night. They were very scared. They used a crane and lifted it and peeked in the darkness. under the tarpaulin using a torch. And they were shining. There's something dazzling, something shining. And the head of the head monk, asked other people to join him. They brought chisels and hammers and worked it out. What happened? It was actually a gold Buddha. About 600 or 400 years ago, when the Burmese army had attacked Thailand, in order to protect it, they had covered it with clay. And suddenly, out of discovery now, it came to know. So tell me, when you tell yourself, I'm good, I'm great, you are not lying. You are actually gold inside. Educators who are not like you, who did not know value education, and parents who don't know loving parenting, have covered us in clay of conditioning. They think it's to protect us. But when you go deeper and remove it, you understand, no, I'm actually gold inside. And unless and until, because if you feel I'm gold inside, then you can walk the talk of value education, and this will only become lip service. So, how do I do it? Self-appreciation is what you need to do. And look for opportunities to appreciate. Because you understand, in life, if you've gone to a dentist, how many of you have gone to a dentist? When you go to a dentist, you have one tooth missing, correct? You have 31 good teeth. Where does your tongue go? We have a habit of looking at lack. Same thing works with children. You followed their 31 good teeth. And that is called the attitude of gratitude. Each day, look at your child. We do this in my children's school that we have, creative school. You have to think of, what do I feel grateful about this child today? The teachers write down. And the teachers also write down, what in me triggered. If you're angry, probably you've been wounded and you are displaced it right now. You followed? Deep within, till you start loving yourself, accepting yourself, you cannot practice value education. And the first service should be to ourselves. Charity begins at home. So value of love is what we need to experience ourselves. Any other question? Yes.
We are the stakeholders somewhere, like parents and teachers, parents and the student. Like in the development, student is at the middle of that. So either we are going to follow each and every love making rule, but until and unless that, because the student is with us for 6 or 4 or 5 hours, and with the parents, it spends more of the time. So how we will make the balance between the teachers and the parents by having the same phenomena of being, on the same platform, so we can provide all the civil scores or whatever you call as a bank balance.
So I understand. Many times, just increase this volume. Many times, we cannot influence parents so much. I understand, we can speak to them, we can do that. But if we have given enough deposits, it will be acting as a shock absorber if the parents are doing any withdrawals. You understand? If you have not damaged the first thing is, okay, parent education we need to do. But however, if you have given enough deposits, it cushions whatever the parents say later on. And many students therefore say, I'd like to be in school rather than home. The moment the children say, I love school, I love to be the teacher, because I feel valued, because I feel loved, because I feel accepted, that particular thought process will make the parent curious to understand, why is it happening that way? Even if it doesn't happen that way, automatically, so much is what you can actually influence. Because finally, we need to understand Saint Francis Assisi's prayer. Give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And the modification of this in adult children of alcoholic parents are useless in US is, God give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know that the only thing I can change is myself. So I understand it's an existential question, how do we make other people change? But if we as value educators believe that if you want to make the world a better place and make a change, you got to start with the man in the mirror. And that is you and you alone. Because you understand, do you know the Maharshi effect? Maharshi effect says square root of 1% of the population, he talked of transcendental meditation, change, the remaining population changes. Let's think it's an exaggeration. Let's just move it to if 1% of the population changes. Because you have an aura, an electromagnetic feeling. When Buddha was meditating, many animals died. You know why? Radius of 10 to 12 kilometers. Because they couldn't kill. That was the love in his aura. And if you have that kind of love, you understand? Automatically things change. Yeah. Next question. Any questions? Yes, sir? Yes. Bhagwan Sri Sat Sai Baba's training, my master, plus my own learning of subconscious sciences, the science of transformation, hypnotherapy, regression therapy, neuro-linguistic programming, understanding that transformation has to be deep within psychological. And you can't just think about anything else. Any other questions till people settle down? Any other questions, class? What?
I'm asking about the exercise. It's
21 days of talking to yourself.
Not talking, writing down.
writing. 21
Because
days.
writing is an idiomotor response. Because we have graphology, understanding handwriting. We have graphotherapy, changing the handwriting, it goes to your subconscious mind. So if you write it down, why am I awesome, fantastic, wonderful person? You write it down either first thing in the morning.
Yes.
You can't add 9 more, add 5 each day. And start searching. It's like gold mining. You're looking for the precious. If you can't find, search. What are the good things? In ChatGPT you can search. In Claude you can search. You do anything you want, but because you'll need to acknowledge yourself. What's happened is, other people's voices have overridden whatever the negative self-talk we have. So unless and until you change that, it's not going to change. Yeah?
Forever.
Yes, any other question?
Not just 21 days.
Yeah, 21 days if you do it.
Okay.
Because nerve cells fire together, wire together. The mind is only a software. The brain is the hardware. The mind will change now. Right now, all of you are inspired. Yeah, I will change. But finally, dog's tail is always bent. It goes back to the homeostasis or the old equilibrium. Why? Because the nerve cells that fire together, wire together, creating a path of least resistance, most allowance. Let's look at a lawn of grass, sister. There's already a path. And this path is probably coming from I am okay or not okay, or I am not okay, you're okay, or I am not okay, you're not okay. I want to come to I am okay, you're okay now, in the life position. So now what do? If I start self-appreciation, it's like walking, I want to create a new path. I walk on it for 3 days, the grass starts becoming yellow. If I continue walking on it for 7 days, the grass starts drying up. If I walk for 21 days, I have 2 parts of grass now. I have a choice. I can either choose this or choose that. If I continue walking for 42 days, the old path grass will grow. You will only be left with a new path. If you continue it for double, 84 days or close to 3 months, this particular behavior will get into your being. It gets into your cellular memory. If you read The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton, you'll understand it's going to get into your cellular memory, and that will make it permanent. It means that particular behavior will become your default setting.
Yes.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Any other questions? As people are still coming in, welcome, professors, welcome. We'll just be continuing till more people come in. Any other questions? Yes, sir?
Okay. So, and the example you gave that if you practice something for 40 odd days and the old memory or the old manners, the habits will be forgotten, right?
Yes.
Yes. But sir, there are plenty of examples where people tend to remember things forever, no matter how hard they try to forget them. So, what is the problem with this theory that it hasn't taken this into account, and how to come out of this particular situation then?
If that particular thing is about you getting angry, you feeling hurt, then I suggest you vent it out first. How do you vent it out? Think of the person who hurt you, write a letter to him. Use all the bad words possible. But don't give the letter to the person. Tear it off. It's gone out from your system. After you do this, the past will still exist. Don't say, I want to forget the past. I'm into psychosomatic illnesses. People who say, I'll forget the past, develop dementia later on. Don't say, I want to forget the past. Let the past be your reference, not your residence. You understand? That's what it's going to lead to. So, if you vent it out and then start this neural pathway, it'll become a reference. Yeah, it'll be a memory. I learned. I can move on. I learned from my past mistakes. But you will not go and wallow in it, being unable to move away from it. Any other questions, sister? Brothers, any questions? Okay. So, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak on Value Educator, the role model, and love as the basic ingredient. So, to end my talk, understand that you got to, this is the old thing you've heard, you got to walk the talk. Values are caught, not taught. You understood in the assessment I gave you today how your life positions could be influencing the way you think. Because these life positions have happened very, very subtly without your knowledge. Sister, I can go on for under 2 minutes? Or people have come?
Yeah, I think everybody has come from there. Yes. Everybody has come.
Okay. So therefore, all the life positions have happened before 0 to 8 years. Because as the mind developed, the brain also developed. The one-layered brain became a 6-layered brain, and they got hardwired. And they happened in early childhood by the way our parents behaved, our teachers behaved, and others behaved. And they got validated by 14 or 16. So you would need a lot of self-work, and also to understand that every time you face a challenge, think of one question. How would love with a capital L behave in this situation? Whenever you're faced with a dilemma, only one question. Which value do I use? Only one question. How would love with a capital L or all uppercase behave in this situation? With this, I thank you all for this opportunity, and we move on to the next session. Thank you.
Respected dignitaries, distinguished delegates, educationalists, and researchers, a warm welcome to the technical session 5 of International Conference on Values Education. Education is often measured by what happens in the classroom, yet its true foundation lies within the educator. From the very moment of every lesson that begins long before it reaches the listener. The educator's inner journey is one of the most continuous and self-reflections and self-mastery and an alignment between the values, thoughts, and actions. This technical session will explore the journey from knowing values to living them. While we often understand what is right, translating intention into actions remain one of the greatest challenges. Today's session will help us know how to bridge these value-action gap with self-awareness, reflection, and inner transformation. Our first speaker is Dr. Shruti Niraj, Associate Professor and Head of Department of Clinical Psychology at the Sri Madhusudan Sai Institute of Medical Sciences and Research. A clinical psychologist registered with the Health and Care Profession Council and the British Psychological Society UK. She brings over 2 decades of experience in health sciences. Having trained and practiced within the UK's National Health Service, she is also the academic lead of the Innovation Bachelor's in Mental Health program, integrating contemporary psychological sciences with Indian knowledge system to foster character development and holistic well-being. She will present on the topic Value-Action Gap, the dilemma between intention and action. Dr. Shruti Niraj.
Thank you for the kind introduction. Good morning, everyone. It's a privilege to be here with you again. I hope you had a wonderful morning. It seems like it was a very busy morning for all of us, right? Yeah. How's everyone doing? So last couple of days have been, too much information or good information? Good information, yeah. So I thought, before I start presenting, let's do one mindfulness activity and let's kind of, break it up. I think it's really difficult to follow on after Brother Vijay Sai. So let's take, rest, give rest to our mind also because, last 2 days, so much information has come our way, right? So we need time to sit and reflect and digest, right? Rest and digest. So let's activate our parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest system. Can I have the video, please? you. How did that feel for people? Calming? Yeah, relaxing? Yeah. So sometimes, we think mindfulness is sitting in a pose, right? Doing some chanting or focusing on the breath. In a traditional sense, that is what we mean, right? But looking at the nature or being with nature, even just watching, a video or pictures of nature, the water element, 70% of us are water, right? So it has a therapeutic, relaxing impact on us, right? So they say that if you want to do exercise, if people do exercise outside in the nature, the study has shown that your cortisol levels, they compared two groups. One group did exercise in the gym, the other group did the same exercises but outside in the nature, green grass and plants. They found that the cortisol levels went down in the group, in the nature group, by 1/3, right? So that is the impact of being in nature. Again, we know all these things, common sense, but we need evidence, right? We need research. And when research shows us these things, we believe that, right? So let's kind of, go back to the matter at hand. So we've heard from various speakers and we've had deliberations this morning, and we all now understand and know the importance of human values in our lives and in the lives of our students as well as the wider society. But it's not as simple as that. No, we can talk about values, but can we walk that talk? That is a big question, isn't it, for everyone, including myself. So that's what we call in psychology this gap between your intention, what you want to do, but can you do that? Can you actually manifest that in behavior? So that gap is called value action gap. And that's what we are talking about today. So, that's why we can have good intentions, but we can sort of fail to live up to those intentions, right? So it's not just children or adults, it's across ages, across contexts, and people know what is right. Children know inherently what is right. So yesterday, Dr. Kimberly said, an infant who's just born, within 24 hours develops empathy, right? So you don't need to teach empathy to children, right? They have that inherent. But, we all struggle to live with it. We struggle to follow those intentions, those values. And, I'm going to talk about these 3 stories where these are real scenarios that I have come across within my clinical experience. And there is although these are different scenarios, but there is common pattern, right? So first story is of a professional, very highly placed, 45-year-old Lena, who, reached at the top where, that's the topmost in the company that, she could ever achieve the position, right? But she lived with constant self-doubt, am I good enough? And, the stress and defensiveness persisted. If somebody just brought a suggestion, she completely quashed it. Or if a junior did not live up to her standards, she almost snapped at them. So everybody had a very negative impression of her in the team, right? So that can make that team quite toxic. You must have heard that term, toxic workplace, right? So that's what she was experiencing, and she brought that story to therapy room, right? So But why? That was the tip of the iceberg, right? All these kind of, things that are going on in her mind, in her life, day-to-day life. But what is going on underneath, right? So in the childhood, she was compared constantly with her brother. So, there was subtle comparison, but she took it as if my brother is superior and I'm inferior, and I have to prove myself. I have to prove every single second. She felt like she had to prove to her parents. And that was just not sort of kind of, in the home. It manifested elsewhere, in the classroom, and when she went to university, she had to be the topper. If she made one mistake, that's it, right? So that we call all or nothing type of thinking. So despite being at the top, she always kind of, struggled with this belief that I'm not good enough, right? And what do we learn from that? We learn that it's the effort that is important, not perfection. And the words, maybe, parents, we are not here to, sometimes people think that therapy is all about blaming it on to the parents and criticizing them. Parents are sacred. They have done their best, right? But their best may not have been good enough for Leena, right? They did their best. But, the words they used to motivate Leena, to bring her up and, pump her up, actually had an impact, sort of unintentional impact on Leena, on her psyche, on her mental health, right? She carried those beliefs throughout. She carried that baggage throughout. And let's kind of, think about Aryan, who knows that copying, he knows the rules. Copying is not right. He has that value of honesty, right? But what is coming in his way? Another value is coming up. Another value of not disappointing his father is coming in between, right? So that's why the gap came up for Aryan, where, he started copying, because dad's shoes are too big to fill for him, right? So he did what he thought, under the circumstances was right. Yeah, there's no judgment here. But he is breaking the rule, right? He knows inside and feels that guilt that I am doing wrong, right? So when external expectations clash with internal values, the gap widens for us, right? And it's, Aryan is not just an isolated case. It happens to all of us. It can happen to all of us. Then, there is the little Ethan, who has been suspended from school many, many times, because, you must have met a lot of Ethans in your careers, right? He's constantly disrupting, and here, I think, Ethan's educators didn't just kind of, look at the surface behavior, right? They dug deeper, right? So they kind of, modeled respectful communication, group discussions took place. He was not isolated. The educators perhaps recognized those needs we were talking about yesterday, right? And, there was marked improvement. Yes, it didn't kind of happen in one day, right? It took long time for him to make that improvement, but he had that sense of belonging in the classroom, in the school, so that he could trust these adults, and adults could put their trust in him, right? So all these scenarios highlight this common problem that all of us undergo, this gap between intention and our action, right? So, it's the distance between what we believe and what, how we behave, right? So we may value patience, but maybe you're stressed, maybe you're running late. There is a deadline on you to submit something, some sort of assignment or a paper you have to publish, right? So, and a student comes and we react sharply, right? They've come to ask very, a random question, maybe a simple question, but we react sharply, right? We know how we should behave, right? So how do we align our inner compass with our outward actions, right? So that's a big question. And I think we've heard this. I heard it for the first time from Bhuvna in our pre-conference activity, and I really loved that statement. You know, values are not taught, they are caught, right? They must be caught. So no point in giving lectures, right? So we are the curriculum. We educators are the curriculum, the leaders of the school or university, college, you know, whatever educational campus that we belong to, it is our responsibility to become a curriculum, a living curriculum, right? So it's a big responsibility on our shoulders. And sorry, I bring out the iceberg again, because I like the metaphor of iceberg. You know, it helps me to understand that, you know, when you look at a swan or a duck, you know, they look so sophisticated, right, on the water when they are kind of, you know, in a pond or something. But underneath, they are paddling frantically, right? No one sees that. So, you know, when I'm working with students, whether it's in a classroom or a therapy room, you know, this kind of, you know, helps me to understand that underneath, you know, behind the intention, there could be some circumstances, stress. Our, you know, conditioned mind, you know, that reacts, doesn't respond, our habits over lifetimes. That's why, you know, changing ourselves is so difficult, you know. So forget about changing others, you know, changing ourselves is so difficult. It's because of those habits, those patterns that we have picked up over, you know, lifetime. So, you know, how can we bridge the gap? These are some suggestions. You know, I don't want to suggest these as, you know, fixing the problem or solving the problem, but, you know, these are some of the things that we as educators must do. You know, the inner journey has to start with us. So we could do daily reflection, maybe, you know, before going to bed, ask this question from yourself, you know, did my actions today reflect my values today, right? So doing that self-audit, yeah, and doing mindfulness practice. And again, you know, you probably do that anyway, but sometimes doing it in the classroom, you know, before you go in, just taking 1 minute for yourself. You know, Sadhguru has taught us that 1 minute meditation or 1 minute mindfulness, you know, just taking a break. So before you know, go from one classroom to another or one task to another, just take a break and just do that self-audit, right? Maybe observe your breath, whatever works for you. And telling someone, so this really works. You know, if you tell somebody that I'm going to join the gym and I'm going to go to gym 3 times a week. No, you tell your friend or tell somebody, right? It's almost like you become accountable. You know, we've got to keep that face, right? That I'm going to do it, right? So that peer accountability helps. So it's small practices. We don't have to change things in one go. Small practices, insert that into your daily life. And once that becomes part of your daily life, then go to the next change. I was going to do that exercise here, but we've already done that. So you can invent, you know, interesting exercises for, you know, adapt to your culture, adapt to your classroom, adapt to your kind of students, what they like, right? So you can show a video like this. So one evidence-based strategy that kind of, you know, we usually, I teach that to patients. I also sometimes use that to myself. It's called implementation intention. So research shows that pre-decided responses close the gap between our intentions and our behavior, right? So if we rehearse those sort of responses beforehand, right? And then it's more likely to happen in a stressful or pressured environment. So, you know, instead of saying, I will be patient from tomorrow, right? Tomorrow morning, no matter what, I will be patient. I will not lose it, right? Instead, you create if then, right? So for example, if a student interrupts, then I will take and then respond, right? Yeah? So, taking one slow breath will change your physiology, yeah? If I feel frustrated, then I will lower my voice and speak calmly, right? If somebody is talking in a very high pitch, if you lower your tone, it has that mirror effect, mirror neurons, somebody had mentioned yesterday, right? If I am rushing, then I will make eye contact before speaking, right? Rather than rushing through. So making eye contact lets them know that you see them, you're here for them. So these are some strategies, but I think, overall, we also need to think about how we can make this part and parcel of an educator. So the theme of this conference is human being to being human, right? So it's inner journey. So our organization has developed a curriculum which I would like to share with you all. And so we have this curriculum that we have developed, and I think, if we implement this, it can help educators to start kind of, building that up when they, undergo that training, right? So it should start when they are probably pre-service, but then, this curriculum is very flexible. It can be used with in-service teacher. Wherever you are working, it is applicable to all of us. So let me kind of show you some highlights of this curriculum. So the learning outcomes are, self-awareness and reflective practices. So we want that educator to be self-aware, do that inner work first. Understand your own patterns before we start kind of expecting change in another person, whether it is student or another staff member or your family member, yeah? And ethical practice, applying foundational ethical guidelines, principles, and the rules, inside that diverse. Our classrooms are so diverse, right? So, people come from different backgrounds, students come from different backgrounds. So we need to take that into account and becoming inclusive, yeah? And, designing those values-oriented classrooms, and integrating those values, not sort of preaching them for the students, it's for us too, yeah? And, building that resilience and integrity in the educator. So it's kind of, divided into modules, and I'll just go through very briefly few of the modules that we have designed. I will not bore you with full details. So just kind of, for example, the module 1 is called Foundation of Human Values. So this introduces educators to the concept and significance of human values in their own personal life, and teaching, the teaching profession, the sacred profession that it is, helps them to reflect on their own personal journey, their family value systems. We learn these values, we don't just pick them up from thin air, it's the family we grow up in, it's the society, the wider kind of, value system that is there in your country, in your kind of, the media that is there, in that situation. So all of that influences us. So we want them to reflect on these things. Module 2 kind of, helps to ask educators this question: why have they chosen this profession, right? What is the purpose of becoming an educator? So if they don't reflect on it, probably they may not be so passionate about it, right? So, or they actually know it deep down, but it's not on surface, right? So letting them kind of understand and give them that chance to look at or read those stories of those role models, those role models that are there for them, who can inspire them, right? So module 3 is called Discovering and Understanding Oneself. So it helps educators develop deeper self-awareness by reflecting on their thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and personal narratives. It enables them to understand their own concept about themselves, who they are, their self-concept, what their strengths are, and what their limitations are, what are the areas that they can work on, right? While exploring the big question, what is the meaning and purpose of their life, and laying the foundation for becoming a confident and genuine professional. Next module covers the emotional intelligence. So we've talked about socio-emotional learning yesterday. It's not just limited, it should not be limited to just students, right? Teachers, educators also need to develop those skills, socio-emotional skills. So this module helps educator to develop awareness of their own thoughts, their own emotions, and learn to maybe respond in a situation, in a stressful situation. Module 5 is called Personal Value Alignment and Ethical Reflection. So this module invites educator to critically examine and realign their inner compass within a structural pedagogical framework, right? So personally reevaluating yourself, evolving kind of your perspectives, ethical reasoning, looking at those dilemmas and what will I do in that situation, So looking at all of that will help them. And then, how can they, the next module looks at reflection, integration, and course evaluation. So towards the end, we want them to look at this course that they have gone through, what they have learned, right? So what they have learned over the past how many months in that training, right? So that's what the curriculum, it's a holistic curriculum for the educators. And I would like to end with this, we started talking about the value action gap. So if all of us educators, we start working on our inner self, inner journey, I think I can't say it as beautifully as Brother Vijay Sai said it, but start working with the person in the mirror. I really love that. So, if every one of us start working on our inner self, then we can make our classrooms, a mirror of ourselves, right? So that's what I would leave you with. Thank you very much for your patient hearing, and I wish you all the best for your next steps, right, in this great revolution. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Shruti, for your thought-provoking insights into the psychological factor that influence the gap between what we aspired for and what we do. Our next speaker is Dr. Sarina Chugani Molina, Associate Dean and Professor at the School of Leadership and Education Sciences, University of San Diego, USA. With over 25 years of experience in international schools, community-based education, and higher education, her work explores how the inner lives of educators influence teaching, learning, and leadership. An accomplished author and educator, she is widely recognized for her contribution to value-based education and for empowering teachers to embrace reflective and transformative educational practices. She will now present on the topic, The Educator's Inner Journey. Dr. Sarina Molina.
still with me? Yes, the last session, we can do this? Yes? Okay. Awesome. Great, great, great to see all of you. Very exciting time. I'm really looking forward to closing out our session. So you'll hear a lot of themes that we've heard over the last couple of days, and I hope to bring us home, bring us within. If you cannot understand me very clearly because of my accent, please connect with me with your heart, because I think the message will come through that way as well. So good afternoon to all of you. It is truly wonderful to see so many educators, not only from India, but from across the world. It's been a true honor. It's, you know, to be able to be here today, it's so significant for me because this is my fourth time. I came in as a participant to one of these conferences, and every 2 years, this is my third year, coming back and sharing sort of my learning and my growth and my development over the many years. So again, it is a genuine honor to stand before you today. As Dr. Narasimhamurthy said, we're values missionaries, right? That's a great way to kind of talk about us. We're teachers, we are professors, we're university colleagues, and we're also leaders who have given your working lives to the transformation or the formation of others. Thank you to all the organizers behind the scenes for all that you do. So a round of applause to our tech team here, our camera team here, and all of the people who sort of made this all happen today and made the programs happen today. I know they work tirelessly behind the scenes to make these conferences possible. I always like to begin with my entry point into this work. As a daughter of refugees' parents who were displaced from their homeland of Sindh after the partition and traversed the globe through the Sindhi diaspora, Japan, the land of the rising sun, became the land of my birth. I attended an international school there, then pursued higher education in Hawaii and San Diego, where I live now with my husband, 2 children, and father. And they're watching me live from San Diego, so I'd like to give them a shout out. And happy anniversary to my husband, and thank you for holding down the fort. So as such, being Indian, Japanese, and Hawaiian, the Western ways also of thinking, being, knowing, and sensing have really, really shaped so much of my own transnational identity and thinking, not only as a teacher or an educator, but also as a parent and a leader. One question has stayed with me and has kept reshaping itself as I've grown. What does it mean to lead and teach in a humanizing way? With dignity, with integrity, in ways that empower rather than diminish? What does it mean to center the human being in our practice, not just their performance, often measured by assessments? Because there is something I have come to believe deeply. Leading and teaching is one of the few professions in which who we are cannot be separated from what we do. We had our speaker yesterday talk to us about this. Every day we walk into our classrooms carrying lesson plans and learning goals, or into our offices or boardrooms carrying agendas, checklists, strategic plans, and then issues that need to be resolved. But we also carry something far less visible: our values, our beliefs, our assumptions, our biases, and also our fears. Whether we intend to or not, our students, our faculty, our staff encounter and experience all of it. They may not remember every lesson or every encounter with you, but they will certainly remember the way you made them feel. This is why I believe the inner life of the educator matters. what this conference is actually all about. Because how we interact with our students, our children, our faculty, our staff, in other words, our thoughts, words, and action have a lifelong impact on them. I hope positive, but we must remember that this lifelong impact can also be potentially harmful. This is the journey I want to walk through with you this afternoon. Are you going to walk with me? Yes? Awesome. Wonderful. So there is a story that has stayed with me for years that one of my trainers on values-based education from Thailand shared with me. She once asked a young girl what she wanted to be when she grew up. And so the teacher expected, what kind of answers do you think? Doctor, engineer, lawyer, teacher. But instead the girl said, I want to become a ladder so others can climb higher. I mean, imagine the wisdom of our children, right? Not use the ladder, not climb one, but become one. So I found this to be extremely profound. And as a professor, right, I had to unpack this wisdom, this nugget of wisdom some more. Why a ladder, I thought? Well, a ladder doesn't ask to be admired. It simply stands there, quietly bearing the weight of someone else's ascent. Imagine that. It quietly bears the weight of someone else's ascent. I have come to believe that is the closest to our purpose as educators. I tell my own doctoral students, as I advise them on their dissertations, that my hope is not that they become like me after they graduate. My hope is that they surpass me, that they go places that I have never gone, right, and touch many, many more lives. This, I recognize, is what brings me pure joy. To become this ladder, then, we also carry a responsibility to keep transforming ourselves to reflective practice. Every lesson we so meticulously prepare, every interaction we have, even our presence and engagement communicates who we are and what we believe about our students. Back in 2015, I had the opportunity to hear Satguru Sri Madhusudan Sai speak to teachers from around the world in Singapore, some of whom are seated here today. Would you raise your hand if you were in Singapore with me? Lovely. Your wife was, yes. Or your sister-in-law. Sister-in-law, Sangeeta was there, yes. And your brother was there, I remember. So people are still here since 2015 after learning this message. In Singapore, he offered a simple but deeply profound framework for the inner work of an educator that I have carried with me ever since, not only as a teacher educator, but also as a parent and leader, and whose principles I have centered in my own research and scholarship. This humanizing pedagogy of love that I have theorized is relational, it's embodied, and it's honoring of the many histories, lived experiences, and ways of knowing, being, seeing, and sensing those in our care bring with them. This is their asset. This is their wealth. These are their gifts. I would be remiss if I didn't share with you that I don't believe I would be here sharing this framework had I not spent many years with my beloved mentors and spiritual parents, Dr. Ron and Swanti Farmer. Many of you know them, yes? Dr. Ron and Swanti Farmer have truly embodied this framework and have been an incredible mentor to me and so many across the world today. So I owe this to them and my inner journey to them. As I continue to reflect and work on my own self-transformation, I wanted to walk you through this framework that has truly been a gift to me in all the many roles I play. I will go through them one at a time, but if you want to snap a photo, I don't have time to go through this slide today, but if you would like to snap a photo, and also I'm happy to share my presentation with you if you just send me an email. So give me thumbs up when you're ready. Yes? Okay, thumbs up, awesome. What I noticed is, of course, as a researcher, our brain operates that way, right? I wanted to know, how does this fit into scholarship, research? I know it doesn't matter, but in my field, to be able to explain it to others and to share its worth, I have to sometimes dig into research, scholarship, and all of these things. And what I found was it does seem very, very simple, but it's so deeply, deeply profound, and it's anchored in research and theory and all of that. Again, I don't have time to go into this at the moment, but I wanted to share with you sort of the undergirding of this. You heard about mirror neurons, right? Some people say, I'm too old today to change my mind. This is who I am, and that's how I'm going to be. That's not true, right? Neurons that fire together, you've heard this? Wire together. So it's not too late to start on that journey. The first letter is T for, everyone say it? Transformation. Every student who tests our patience, every colleague who challenges us, every mistake we make, okay, every meeting, I think this has happened to you, that could have just been an email. Has that happened to you? Yes? Every moment we choose compassion over frustration, each is an invitation to become a little more, a little better than we were yesterday. We spend our lives helping others learn and grow. This invitation is to keep doing this work on ourselves as well. Transformation is not a single event. I can tell you from experience, I continue to make mistakes and falter time and time again. And as I continue to practice, I catch myself and try to course correct. Was what I said kind? Was it useful? Was it necessary? This inner work is indeed a lifelong process. As I made mistakes, reflect, I also try to be kind to myself and to try again anew the next day. E is for? Fantastic. You're here with me. I didn't hear enough, actually. Are you all here? Okay, let's try this again. E for? Okay, that's much better. The second letter, again, is exemplar. Gandhi put it quite simply. He said, be the change you wish to see in the world. I think educators live this sentence every day, whether we notice it or not. Being an exemplar is not about being perfect. It is about living the values we hope to cultivate in others. Before we ask our students to be patient, to be curious, or compassionate, we are asked to practice those qualities ourselves. Students notice long before they remember our words. They notice how we speak to the student who is struggling. They notice how we respond when we're wrong. They notice whether our actions match our values. In many ways, our lives become part of their curriculum. So the question is not, am I a great teacher? It is, how am I showing up for these students in my care every day? Next, we have A for? Okay, I think we can do better. Come on, guys, right? A for? Much better. So if transformation begins within, and if we're trying to live as exemplars, the next question is, how do we actually see the students in front of us? What do we believe about our relationship with them? Do we see limitless potential, or do we see limitations? Do we see a human being inside, or only a behavior to manage? Awareness of oneness asks us to move past categories, test scores, and labels towards the recognition of shared human dignity. When we begin to see one another this way, our teaching changes on its own. We listen differently, we become more patient and more curious. In my own work with multilingual students and multilingual learners, refugee background students, migrant farmers, and international students across several countries and across all ages, I keep encountering the same longing for belonging wherever I go. Every student wants to be seen. Isn't that true? Every student wants to be seen, to be known, to belong. I think that's true for all of us, isn't it? We want to be seen, we want to belong, we want to be known. Oneness does not erase our differences. It means that beneath these beautiful differences, we recognize a shared humanity. And that recognition is what makes compassion feel less like something we have to practice and more like who we already are, our birthright. Next, we have C4. Okay, we're almost there, right? Lunchtime, almost there? Okay, we're getting there, Which brings us to C, culture. Far more than food, festivals, or flags, this is how many schools celebrate culture, right? Culture shapes how we communicate, how we learn, how we express ourselves, and our sense-making practices. Every student who enters our classroom brings a history or histories, a language, a community, a way of seeing the world. Just in the session before this, we were talking about rural children and how they bring values with them, that they have the values already inherent in them. Every student is so important to recognize all of the assets they bring. When we fail to recognize the cultural knowledge our students already hold, we risk asking them to leave a part of themselves at the door. When we honor their whole person, conversations are much richer and learning is much deeper. Much of my own research sits inside this letter. Working alongside multilingual, multicultural students, many of whom hold transnational identities such as my own, have taught me that good teaching starts with genuine curiosity, and often with humility about our own assumptions. Before asking, how do I teach this student, I have learned to first ask, what can this student teach me? Cultural humility is not becoming an expert in every culture. It is becoming, again, a learner of what our students can offer us and each other. All right, I want to hear it a little bit louder this time. Okay, you ready? H is for? Oh, I'm loving this. This is great. Okay, so the next letter, H, represents head, heart, and hands, and reminds us that education has too often been measured only by what students know, the cognition, as measured by exams and certain outputs. But knowledge alone has never been enough, right? We have all met brilliant people who lacked compassion and people with little formal schooling who carried extraordinary wisdom. I think about my 90-year-old father who lives with me today. He has had very little formal education, only about to third grade, fifth grade level, elementary level, but he is the wisest person I know. So while the head helps us think critically, the heart helps us love and connect. The hands help us live our values through action. When all three come into alignment, our students feel it. Our nonverbal communication, we talked about this yesterday with Sister Bhuvana, is roughly 85 to 95% of the message we often share in a few words. This is significant because our students see our behaviors, our posturing, our eyes. Have you seen kids roll their eyes? Yes, they go, Mom, I'm listening to you, but I don't like that, what you're saying, right? And so that's extremely important, right? These are nonverbal behaviors that are communicating, right? And it speaks to them louder than what our words say. You've heard that expression, right? Actions speak louder than words. I think there's so much truth to that. So I'd invite you to sit with a question for a moment. In your own classroom or higher education spaces, which of the three gets the most attention? The head? Can you raise your hand if it's the head? Is it the heart? Is it the hands? Can I try again? Wherever you're at, whichever work do you do, even if you're a parent or a grandparent, yeah? What is centered in your space? Is it the head, cognition? This is great, right? Many schools will say cognition, right? Is it the heart? Many say heart. There's no place for heart in the classroom. Stop it, right? But we talked about emotional intelligence yesterday and how significant that is, right? How about hands? Which profession hands? Okay, so we're talking, right? There's really no wrong answer, but we're trying to infuse head, heart, and hands, right? Because the learning goes much deeper. Okay, let's go to this. E4? Okay, it's 12:35. We can do this, right? The next letter is, actually, I'm only 2 letters away. Did you notice that? Okay, if you're counting. Okay, the next letter is environment. Classrooms are more than physical spaces, but they are also emotional and relational spaces where students are quietly asking themselves, does my teacher love their profession as teachers? Have you met teachers who hate their job? Yeah, our students pick up on that, right? And so they're asking themselves, did they even like their job, right? Do they like to teach me? Is it safe for me to speak here? Will my ideas be respected? Do I belong, right? Does my teacher believe in me? That is so important for students to feel, right? So this may not be quite possible, I understand, with very large classes or limited resources, but we have found in the United States that creating environments where students, particularly neurodivergent students or students with learning differences, thrive, right? They thrive in environments with particular kind of lighting. You know, some classrooms have very, very bright fluorescent lighting. It's really shocking to the nervous system for many, many students. So even lighting, seating options, as well as stress balls. Have you seen those? Stress balls and anything, tactile things for them to move around. That has all been shown to make a difference in their behaviors. Environment, again, is not something we decorate, right? That's the message I'm trying to share. It is something we cultivate through 1,000 small moments. A smile, a welcome, a word of encouragement, the assurance that there is no failure, but opportunities to learn. What has stayed with me for some time is the word fail, right? For our children, when they hear the word fail, they think they're just no good. That's it, it's over, right? But I've come to conceptualize this a little differently. It's not something that I created. I learned it somewhere, I don't know where, but I wanted to share it with you. So let's think about the fail is how many letters? 4 letters. What are the letters? F-A-I-L. So how about we reframe this, right? F for first, right? Say first, yes. Yeah, first. A for attempt. I for in. L for learning. Let's do it all together. So fail is first attempt in learning, right? So you imagine this, right? Research now suggests the fixed mindset is not helpful for students, that we need to move them. This is Carol Dweck's work to growth mindset, right? It's not an all or nothing. We have an opportunity to grow and learn. Okay, last letter is roll of. Beautiful. So the final letter is one I think our world needs more than ever today. The role of religions. As an undergraduate student at the University of Hawaii, I was fascinated by the world's faith traditions, and I took so many classes that I automatically minored in world religions and comparative religions. Paul Joan Roach writes in his book, "Many wars, atrocities, and other destructive events have happened throughout history in the name of religion because people forgot the essence of their teachings." He asserts that the key to our survival is love, equity, and oneness. Our fears of the other as different from us, as foreign to us, is the driving force of hate and violence against each other. We often talk about religion in terms of difference, different beliefs, different practices, different paths, and yet, when we step back and look across the world's greatest spiritual and wisdom traditions, we notice something remarkable. Again and again, they call us toward the same human qualities: compassion, integrity, humanity, truthfulness, service, and love. Different languages, different symbols, remarkably similar aspirations for what it means to live a meaningful life and living a life with purpose. This, I think, is where education and spirituality meet. Education develops our capacity to think. Our spiritual and cultural traditions invite us to reflect on how we live. For teachers, reflecting on their own faith traditions and those of their students and recognizing any assumptions or biases they bring would be significantly important. So perhaps the deeper question in our classrooms is not, what religion does my students follow or do my students follow? Instead it is, what values guide their lives? And perhaps our responsibility as educators is to help students hold on to the wisdom of their own traditions and ancestries, even as we prepare them for an increasingly complex world. In secular schools, we may need to be quite cautious, right? Because I work in a Catholic institution, so I can bring in human dignity and religion and spirituality. But I know in secular schools, you might have to be a little bit more cautious in any discussion in this area. But the honoring of each student and their faith traditions is what is being asked of us as educators. So now, I don't know if do we have some time? Where is my? Okay, let's do this really quickly. I wanted you to go from what I shared right now, the teacher transformation, inner journey model, to committing, if we can leave today with one. I think a lot of our speakers gave us ideas. So if we can think of one commitment, one transformation change you will start today, I'd like you to think about it. So we call it think, pair, share, right? So think about it, write it down. And when you're finished writing it, turn around to your partner next to you and share out what your commitment is. Because I think when you voice it, you will more likely do it. So if you leave this conference with one commitment, I think the work is done, right? Think about the commitment. Think about why it matters to you. What your first step is going to be today, because it's still afternoon. We still have time, right, to implement. And then you will remind yourself by doing what, right? And then sign and date it. Today's date is July 24th, 2026. Okay, take a moment and talk to each other. I'm not hearing noise. What's happening? Did you share? Don't be shy. What is one commitment you intend to make today for your own self-transformation? You got it? Yes? Would anybody like to share out? Would anybody like to share out their one commitment? Any volunteers? This is think pair. You did the pair, now it's the share. Any hands going up? Can I call? Hey, awesome. So Sadhguru's teacher is going to share one commitment. So what a role model she is, exemplar. Please share.
Be a good listener. Be a good listener.
Be a good listener. Thank you so much. It's a great lesson for all of us. Fantastic.
Thank you,
yes.
thank you, thank you.
Any other commitments? Yes? Are you just being shy? Yes? No? Yes, please.
To take a breath and to take time before I make any judgment to anybody.
I love it. So pause, take a breath, take some time before you pass judgment on anything.
Any reaction.
Before you take any action. So that pause, that moment is really important. Yeah. Fantastic. Did anybody share that same one? Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, let's pause. Wonderful. Go ahead.
I shared the same.
You had the same. Do you want to share your perspective on this?
It was to actively to do the breathing technique, 2 short breaths in and then a long exhalation. Make it longer than inhalation.
Okay.
If I'm feeling stressed or off-centered, again, before responding or taking action so that I can just come back and be present.
Yeah. Beautiful. And so throughout the conference, I think you learned many, many strategies. So if you can just take one with you and commit to it, I think that the goal of this conference has been met, isn't it? Oh, I have one more slide. Oh, perfect, yes. So this afternoon, I want to leave you with a different possibility, or more so, a responsibility. The deepest purpose of our work as teachers is not to only develop our students, but to develop ourselves. As the framework suggests, the educator's greatest responsibility is not only to shape the lives of our students, but to keep allowing this work to shape our own. The educator's inner journey is, in the end, a journey from human being to being human. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sarina, for reminding us that true journey of an educator is one that of continuous inner growth and reflection. As we conclude this technical session, we are reminded that education is not merely the transmission of knowledge, but the experience of one's values and inner consciousness. Once again, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speakers and distinguished delegates and all the participants for making this session enriching and inspiring. Thank you all. Have a great day.